Did you know that when students are asked about stress, over 80% of students said that they deal with stress often or on occasion? Stress is an emotional strain from stressors that happen from an overload of things that we can't deal with. My name is Michaela, and I'm a full-time student. I work almost 40 hours a week, and I'm out on my own. This causes me to have stress almost every single day of my life, and I've dealt with it in good ways, and I've had it drag me all the way down to the bottom. Today we're going to talk about the causes of stress, the effects of stress, and how to manage it. When it comes to the causes of stress, there are external and self-generated. External causes are the ones we often think about, like school, work, relationships, but there are also ones that are self-generated. These include worrying about things that probably won't happen, and just self-hatred and doubting yourself. Now that we've talked about the causes, let's look at the effects. Stress can affect your behavior, your mental health, and your physical health. When it comes to your behavior, stress can cause you to be sad, angry, and many other emotions because we don't know how to handle the situation at hand. It can also turn you to alcohol and substance abuse to cope with stress. Stress also affects your mental health. This can cause you to fall into a state of depression. According to the National College Health Assessment, stress negatively affects 30% of U.S. college students. From juggling classes to work to extracurricular activities, it can often cause students to burn out before the semester ends. A burnout is an extended period of time where students experience exhaustion, fatigue, lack of interest, and this just generally ends up in a decline in your performance, said by David Ballard, who is part of the American Psychology Association. In the picture present, that shows your amygdala, which is the area on the purple. It was shown that a person with a higher amygdala activity had actually a higher chance of stroke or heart attack. Stress also affects your physical health. It can create eczema, cause you to be fatigued. One of the most common effects of stress is sleep deprivation, which is just when your body doesn't get enough sleep. In a research project done by the Sleep Foundation, they found that college students in the United States has a high risk of insomnia when your stress was caused by family issues, and they had an even higher risk when it was included with academic pressure. With all the pressure that comes to stress, there are ways to manage it and how to make your life easier. Step one is to identify your stressors. But before we do that, you have to accept that you have stress present in your life, because if you don't do this, you'll never find out what's causing it. There are two kinds of stressors, which are major stressors and overlooked stressors that we talked about, that were also called external and self-generated. Major stressors are your external causes, which are work, school, relationships, and your overlooked stressors, which are your thoughts and feelings and the ones that are self-generated. Another easy way to do this is to follow these 4 A's. Avoid, alter, adapt, and accept. When it comes to avoiding things, when you find what your stressors are, tend to say no to them. Tend to avoid them in your life so that you don't go through that first step. Next is to alter. If you can't avoid your situations, try to change them. One of the biggest examples of this is when you take on too many classes in school and you learn that you can't really balance your schedule. One of the best things to do is probably drop one of your classes so you can better handle your situation at hand. Next is adapt. If you can't change your surroundings, change yourself. Oftentimes we set really high expectations for ourselves that we can't quite reach. It's easier to set a lower goal for yourself that you can reach easily and move on from there. Finally, there's acceptance. This often applies for death and illness. It's basically looking on an upside of things and staying positive. But it can also apply to school. No matter how much stress we go through in school, we can see how it's going to help us in the future, and that helps us push forward. And finally, take time for yourself. Hang out with friends, take up a hobby, and just relax. Leave your stress behind for the minute, and you can always return to it later. Today we talked about the causes, the effects, and how to manage stress. Stress affects our everyday lives, but if we can identify the causes and learn how to manage it, then we can prevent it from taking a long-term toll and continue with a healthy lifestyle. Thank you.